All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Marketing Dot podcast, where the dot stands for data over time. I sure do love data. This show is brought to you by Elevated Marketing Solutions. I am the founder of Elevated Marketing Solutions, Jennifer Denny, and I have with me today,
Brenna Jackson,
yes,
your favorite email guru.
for sure. I had the luxury of doing some email newsletters for Brenna, and I got super excited when I was doing them. Like, oh, we could do this and we can do that. And like, Brenna has such great things already going. And so I wanted to talk about that today. Are you excited for that?
I am excited. I was just about to say, exciting things are headed your way.
So, what is one thing that, obviously we talked about pre-show, is challenging when you are creating these email newsletters?
Finding and creating / using good content to keep people opening your future newsletters.
Yeah. Getting that email opened is a challenge. It takes a lot of effort, and that's not saying you shouldn't do it, right?
No. We love a challenge. That's part of the fun in marketing.
Well, and email, as we've discussed on previous shows, is the one place or one of very few places you own that channel. Like, somebody raised their hand and they said, yes, I do want to get it from you. So it's like this precious commodity, and we don't own it over on social media channels.
Yeah.
We don't own it over in ads as much as we own those emails.
The wonderful thing about having an email list is somewhere along the way, these people have engaged with you at least once. And so they're going to be ready to hear from you more often.
Yeah. And even though they signed up, it's still challenging to get them to open email, because the average person gets 121 emails a day. I feel that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I know I certainly feel that in my inbox.
And like the open rate, on normal is somewhere around 20%, like somewhere around that. So you could spend all this time creating this newsletter, but you have, 20% of them are going to get opened. It's definitely a funnel there. Like, we have everything in marketing.
Yeah, for sure. And although it's about getting people to open these emails, it does start with the content and continue to get people to come back and open each one as you're sending these monthly. And that alone will kind of help build some sort of list of more engaged audience members, and hopefully that will also increase open rate over time.
Yeah. Tell me about that, like, perceived irrelevance that people might feel with an email coming through.
Yeah, they may not feel that the content resonates with them and maybe their needs. And when they see all these emails coming through, not even just from you, from other people, they're probably thinking, oh, just another email.
And so, and you might feel that as a business, like, why are they going to care? Like, why are they going to want that? And you have to go back to that. Well, why would they care? What are you going to put in here that is relevant to them? Like, start with a why.
Yeah. It goes without saying, but it's always quality. Quality over quantity.
Yeah. We were talking about pre-show. There's some things that we feel people focus on that might be like quick gimmicks. What are some of those things that are like kind of quick gimmicks? Sure, they can affect open rate, but we know content is the one that's going to keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. I think a lot of that starts with the subject line, and that's not how our process is when creating email newsletters as a whole,
Mhm.
but subject lines that are ineffective and don't quite line up with the content that is inside. Or if it's trying to be too clickbaity, people see through that these days. Like, that's not going to get far.
Or it might get open like, the first couple times, but then like they get to the meat and and they're like that was disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some other things that like are just kind of quick things, but it's not really going to affect it as much as the content?
Yeah, there's timing. So the time that you're sending these newsletters.
Is there a good time when you're getting 120 emails a day?
Right. And I will
And
say,
I'm always like, really?
right. No, you're absolutely right. And MailChimp, for example, if you upgrade, you can get optimized send time
Yeah.
based on when your audience is opening. But like Jennifer's saying, when you're getting over 120 emails a day, I don't
You
know
can't
that I truly
predict
believe in
what
that.
other people's like, oh, it'll be optimal at this time. Like
Mhm.
maybe if you think about the audience and what the audience characteristics are, like
Mhm.
if it can be characterized, because it might not be able to. I mean, I think of some of our clients that maybe eye care and our demographic there, and they're a busy mom, and like maybe that mom is a night owl and she's looking at email late at night, so maybe like early in the morning. But when I try to like bring that more broad scale, I'm like, well, everybody's that way.
Mm-hmm. I definitely try to line it up with, we send to a lot of business owners, so I try to line it up with maybe lunch hour, when the average lunch hour is.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, just knowing your audience, and we've talked through buyer personas, and I think a lot of that it always needs to line up with that. But even those send times, although they won't make or break your open rate, if you want to dabble into it, maybe think about your buyer persona.
Yeah. And all these things do affect it just being in your inbox and getting open. So these are just kind of like what I want to say, like short term.
Mm-hmm.
What is another like short term that if this thing is not taken care of, the content's not going to matter?
Yeah, sender reputation. So these are maybe for the people who are buying email lists. If you've got a list of people that have never heard from you, don't know who you are, that sender reputation is not going to achieve what you're hoping. And so,
What does sender reputation mean? Like, I'm novice. Like,
yeah, they could be emails that are going to spam or junk folder. And so if you haven't been in their contact list, or if they haven't opted to receive your emails, you're likely going to go to spam. Or as a more technical side, if your domain is not verified,
yeah,
that could also lead to spam.
yeah. So in other words, if they're not like used to seeing your emails, and you just all of a sudden like, we're gonna send these like 12 times a day and see what we can get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna like, you got to do what's called like warming up the emails, where they're kind of getting used to you. So if you're just now starting it, but if you have been doing it, this is where like people bounce out a lot, like the open rate is low. Like these senders are looking at that, and I think that's really important with AI now, because people are trying to like get shortcuts, and that if you mess up your domain, then you can't send emails from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that could be a big deal.
It definitely can. It definitely has lasting effects.
Yeah. Okay. So the meat, the heart,
Mhm.
content. We're sending monthly newsletters. we're thinking of the type of clients that we usually work with. So these are lead generation type companies. So healthcare companies, service-based companies, event type companies. Like, that's mainly who we work with when we're sending a monthly newsletter. Let's break down like what needs to be inside of there on a monthly basis.
Yeah, that is, again, relating it back to buyer persona. It's not going to be the same for everyone, but a lot of it does need to start with what quality content have you produced and can be relayed in email marketing form. So is that written content such as blog posts?
There
Have
you go.
you answered maybe some common questions that would be great email marketing content? I think that's one thing.
Yep. Yep. And so there's other things that have happened through the month. Maybe there was an event you went to. Maybe there's some social media posts. Maybe there were some images taken. Maybe I think one of our clients, it's part of their brand to tell all about the kids and everything that's there. Like, what is that story you want to tell about your brand every month?
Yeah. And again, just what is important to your audience. Another example is a lot of times people like to see community outreach and community involvement. And if you've got any events like that, that's something great to include.
Yep. Yep. Industry insights.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to think about, does that industry insight matter to them? So I think there's certain industry insights that matter to you because you're in the industry, but there's industry insights that are going to be helpful for the person on the newsletter that they need to know. Like, real world examples would be, there's a key date coming up, there's a conference coming up, there's an event coming up, there is some recent study done, a new report. Like, it's just things that would be important for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how you can provide a solution or offer something to help along with maybe there was some sort of recent event and
Yeah, it's
your
like what we're
audience.
doing right now. Like, it's
Yeah.
current time industry, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But there's also a different type of content that should probably be in there, is like long-term value driven. Like, it don't matter what time of year it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's still of value, and it's just as informative, and it's also actionable. Like, talk about that.
Yeah. I would say we could call that evergreen content in a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, for example, we've got a client when they're providing luxury ride services that's needed year round. Now, we can tie it to recent and upcoming events, but the fact of the matter is people will always need a ride. And so continuing to keep a section, say in the newsletter, of book your ride, blah, 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 here's why choose us, how to do it, so on and so forth. That type of content, your call to action, your main goal should always be in your newsletter.
Yeah, like guides, checklists, toolkits, templates, like things that will help them, case studies showing like real results, that people have, if depending on your industry, like let's say we have a travel company, packing hacks. So what to pack, what to skip, like that's helpful. It doesn't matter what time of year it is, that stuff that's going to be helpful to them versus, the one that we just talked about, current industry, and that example, it's like, oh, well, there's new visa regulations going on right now, and so they need to know that too. So you're almost like, this matters right now, but this always matters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I even think about too, specific to that client, the useful links of different products that are helpful in, say, Paris, and that's still tied to the client. That's still part of their content and,
Yeah.
what their objective is.
The next one is what? Like what? I mean, the above could be included in this, but like if it's not this, then it's got to be engaging, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I hope everything is engaging.
So, like, describe some of the engaging content that could be in there.
Yeah, this might be, we've talked about case studies. So maybe there's business spotlights, or maybe there was some sort of collaboration between you and another local business, or just another business in general. That's a spotlight you could feature. Let's see, kind of maybe behind the scenes. So if you recently had a job site that you were working on and you're a fencing contractor, you
Yeah.
can clip in some behind the scenes of maybe some fun the team had on the job site while getting it done.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, health and wellness. Meet Sarah, how she improved her sleep with our wellness program.
Yeah.
That's a little salesy. I'm probably going to reword that a little bit, but like, this is how she did it.
Yeah.
That can't be the entire content, though. Wouldn't you agree? Like, this is a newsletter. Like,
Yeah.
that could be part of it.
Agreed. Yeah, it'll definitely need to vary in terms of, because not all content is going to resonate with each audience member.
Yeah.
We hope it does, but it's not. And so you do have to provide more than one piece of content, and in different forms too.
Yes. 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 I think the next one, people always say like exclusive offers, webinars, or invitations, and I caution on that
Mhm.
you got to make it feel like it's exclusive, but
It's
you want to meet people where they're at. You're probably going to give that content in other forms, like on social media and other places.
Yeah. Well, as I also think about too, it's kind of similar to offering a really, really, really good deal in hopes that people are buying something, but sometimes it just makes the quality look less than.
Yeah.
And so you want them to buy into this quality content without having to use words such as exclusive to you.
Yeah. Well, I think gimmicky is out.
It is. It definitely, yeah.
It's just out. And like, you can give an offer without coming across gimmicky. And
Mhm.
you can have an offer. Just people want value, especially in an economy like we have right now. They don't want to feel like they're being sold. They want value. And so, change the language there to match who you're trying to talk to.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
give it away to them.
Yeah. A lot of people likely won't care to hear that they're part of this exclusive group.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, I mean, you just have to look at who your audience is. It's a possibility. I just know we're not real big gimmicky people, so I know our clients tend to not be gimmicky people.
Yeah.
Just because it's not our vibe. That doesn't mean we don't have offers. That doesn't mean we're not trying to get people like invited to things.
Right.
We try to take more of a FOMO, like fear of missing out,
Mhm.
because we just have good content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people want to come hang out with us because we're going to produce good things.
Mhm. Well, and we want it to reflect the nature of our website too, because that's where we're leading. We don't want it to look like two totally different people are talking to our audience members, whether that be through email marketing or website. So,
Yeah. I mean, you always have to have the call to action,
yeah.
right? And we're talking about getting the email opened, so we're not talking about getting them to the next level of getting them over to the website. Today we're just talking about getting it open, and I think it's you got to have good content if you're consistently sending it out,
Hmm.
because if it's not good content, then people won't want to sign up. I think about our LinkedIn newsletter and our email newsletter, and like, I love you guys. I don't know how I have like 45,000 people like signed up for it. But apparently, and we're just trying to be like good marketers, and I feel like we're just trying to be helpful. But you don't get to that like level unless you just put value, helping, what can I do for you type nature first, instead of how am I going to make money off the person that's on that email list.
Yeah. We always want to get people through the door, aka opening our emails, but if they don't like what's inside, then they're just going to leave. So
we talked about that in a previous show with customer service, and I feel like today, right now, things are taking longer to close. And if you try to focus too much on the closing part, you are going to not do well. And these people are precious, and we want them to open our emails. They will buy from you if you provide value.
Yeah.
But if you're just going for the sale, your newsletter is just never even going to get opened. It is a long-term play with huge benefits.
It is. I agree with that 100%.
So, good content, not too many call to actions.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got personality in it. Make it sure it feels personal.
Yep.
Anything else you feel like we've missed?
I think the only thing is letting your content drive what your subject line is going to be.
Yeah.
Don't start with your subject line, start with your content, and you'll be able to produce something good that will get people opening.
There you go. All right. Well, let's wrap it up on that one. If you guys want to follow our newsletter, it is on LinkedIn. I am Jennifer Denny, and you can get it there. Or you can go over to our website. We have plenty of call to actions. You can go to the knowledge section. You can go to the social section. You can go to the podcast section. You can sign up to have it in your inbox, or you can just go back through and see past episodes. We do try to meet you where you're at, but that will be it for today, and thank you so much for listening.